Welcome to the webinar. My name is Eric Anderton, and today we are going to be talking about how to win the construction talent war. You're in the right place here this afternoon because you are going to learn specific strategies to attract, develop, and retain the best talent and build a profitable and long-lasting company. So this is a time for you to work on your business. So what I'd like you to do is to turn off your cell phone. Now, you may have a bunch of different screens open at the moment, either on your phone or on your computer. Shut them down so you, for this short time, you can work on your business. Okay, stick around to the end of the time, and I'm going to text out a link that you'll be able to go to in order to download all the slides and all the tools that I'm going to share with you in this webinar. And I want to thank you for attending. Today, you're not going to be wasting your time. You're going to have a very focused time thinking about your business. And let's think about the title of this webinar here. Notice I call it How to Win the Construction Talent War. There is a war out there for talent in the construction industry. And notice I say a war, not a battle. The reason why is because a war is something that lasts for a long time. A battle may last for a day or a week, but a war goes on and on and on. And you are going to be in this particular war if you own a construction company, or if you're in the leadership of a construction company. You're going to be fighting this war for the rest of your career, because talent will always be at a premium. And the survival of your company and the strength and growth of your company is based upon you being able to attract, develop, and retain the best talent. Simply stated, winning the war is a process of identifying and developing talent to meet the needs of the organization now and in the future. So why is this important today? Well, let's think about this. In 2016, it's predicted that there will be $712 billion in new construction in the United States. And 72% of construction companies are planning to add staff. If you're on this webinar at the moment, you're probably a part of that 72%. And there's three sides. And by the way, most of the people who will be hired are project managers, engineers, craft laborers, estimators, and project superintendents. Okay, so it's not necessarily the senior level folks, but it's your mid-level and field folks that you really need to focus on in order to develop the talent for both the needs now and in the future. So here's three signs that you need to be on this webinar today. Number one, storms on the horizon. Just imagine if your best superintendent walked into your office this afternoon and told you he's retiring in 18 months. What's your plan to replace him in that time? What's your plan? Or think about this, shallow bench. Check out this guy here. He's just sitting on the bench there all by himself. If your VP of pre-construction quit tomorrow, do you have a replacement ready to step up? Now, you may have a backlog that's full for the next 18 months, but is your operations manager complaining that he doesn't have enough people ready to step up into senior project manager roles to run the new projects that are starting soon? How about the talent drain? Think about this. Who was the last talented person who left your organization, and why did they leave? Did they leave for money, or was it for some other reason? If you're experiencing a talent drain in your organization, if basically your best talent is getting poached by your competition, that's exactly why you need to be on this webinar, focused on how you can improve attracting, developing, and retaining the best talent in your industry. Because if you don't, it's going to cost you time and money. You're going to be taking those, and this is what happens in a lot of companies. They take the square pegs and they try and jam them in the round holes. And that is a bad thing to do. Think about it in your company at the moment. Do you have folks who are in your company who are in the wrong positions, and they should be in another position or not even in the company? And you'll be unprepared when disaster strikes to deal with the sudden catastrophic loss of key people. What if key people just leave you tomorrow? Are you ready for that? If you're not, you need to be listening as we go through this process here. Now, if you focus on talent development and talent attraction and talent retention, then what will happen is you'll be able to pass the baton quickly. It'll take less time and expense to source talent to fill the vacancies because the talent has already been identified and prepared. You'll get the right people on the right seats on the bus. Okay, so you'll be able to align your people development with your organization's strategic objectives. okay, so that you always have the right people at the right time in the right place to meet those objectives. And you'll be able to avoid the catastrophes. The organization will be prepared to deal with any sudden losses that you might get. Okay, you know what it's like in business and in life. Stuff happens all the time that we don't plan for. And that's why thinking through this process of attracting, developing, and retaining talent is so important for you as the leader of a construction company. Okay, a little bit about me. My name is Eric Anderton. I've been working with construction companies for well over a decade. You can tell by my style here as far as presentation is concerned. I talk really fast. I get kind of excited, so bear with me with my style. When I get really excited, I say dude quite a bit, so you'll just hang with me. I'm on the west coast of the US, so we like to say dude quite a bit. So I have worked with construction companies, and I advise construction company owners and executives how to win with strategies that attract, develop, and retain talented people. I work with a variety of subcontractors and general contractors. This is just a taste of the people that are in my area. And think about the construction industry. From 2004 to 2007, everybody was a genius, right? Everyone was a genius from 2004 to 2007. The tide was rising. Everyone was doing well. We thought it would last forever, right? But then from 2008 to 2012, we're all dunces. Right? Things weren't going as well. You had to cut some of the key people in your organization. The work went away, the funding went away, and it was a real challenge for many people in the United States. From 2013 to 2016, things have been going pretty well. Right? Just this year, there's a 6% growth predicted, and as I said earlier, there's a $712 billion in construction starts. But as I talk to people, they're not quite sure about what's going to happen 2017 and onwards. We've got an election coming up. You never know how that might affect the market. For some people, it's not as stable as for other folks. And so there's a lot of unknowns. But one thing you can be sure of is there's going to be ups and downs. You can be absolutely sure that there's going to be ups and downs as you go through the process. Oh, by the way, can everyone hear me here? I just want to make sure that everyone can hear my audio. Can you guys hear me? Can you just chat into the box if you can hear my audio? Give me a thumbs up or something like that. Yep. Okay, good. Everyone can hear? Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so 2017 and onwards, you can be sure that there's going to be ups and downs. That's just the reality. So let's do it differently this time. Instead of getting into the fantasy land where we think that the successes are going to last forever, let's live in Realsville and know that there will be ups and downs and build our company so that we can be prepared for those ups and downs. So in this training today, this is what you're going to learn. You're going to learn very specifically how to tap in to 3 sources of talent that you need to be focused on a regular basis. All right? You're going to learn the one thing that you must do to attract the best free agents, and it has nothing to do with money. You're also going to learn 3 strategies and 2 tools to evaluate and develop your key people. And then finally, I'm going to give you a 7-step process to get started on as far as winning the war for talent. And if you stick around for the whole time here today, I'll chat out at the end of the meeting a PDF with all of these slides and all of the tools that I'm going to share with you as my thank you for sticking around. Okay? So at the end of the webinar, like I said, I'm going to show you how you can get some help if you want. Okay? If you want a little more help, you'll also have an opportunity to do that. And as we're going through the process here today, feel free to ask questions anytime you have questions. And as we're going through the process, I encourage you to have this winning mindset. Number 1, drop the mask. Okay? Don't stick your head in the sand. Be objective about the struggles that you have. And as we go through the content here, think about how this content can help you with your struggles. Number 2, I want you to ditch the dude. Okay? So don't be cocky. Don't think you know it all. If you hear something that you've heard before, ask yourself how well you're using and applying it. And then number 3, I encourage you to kill the bear. I love this movie here. It's The Edge with Alec Baldwin and what's that dude's name? He's Welsh. I should know what his name is. But anyway, they're out in the wilderness, and either the bear is going to kill them or they're going to kill the bear. Okay? And that's what it's like in business sometimes. The bear might be out there to kill you, but you as the leader of your organization have to say this. What one person can do, another person can do. You may have deep challenges in your organization at the moment, but you can kill the bear. So have that attitude as we go through the process here today. So let's just take a moment here. And what I'd like you to do, if you have a pen or a paper or something like that, and you can even chat in the answer into the question box if you like, I'd just like to ask you a question. What is the purpose of your business? What's the purpose of your business? If you want to answer that question, feel free to chat that into the box. What is the purpose of your business? Okay, so as you're thinking about that, maybe the first thing that popped into your mind, I know when I talk to my clients, the first thing that often pops into their minds is this: money. And that is awesome. If you're making money in your business and you do it consistently over a period of time, that money shows you that you are providing value to people in the target audiences that you present your products and your services to. Money is a great thing, okay? Think about this too. A lot of people, they're in business. Why? Because of power. And what I mean by power is not just power over people or being in a place of authority, although that's very, something that people really like, but it's freedom. Freedom to do what you want, freedom to do it with who you want to do it. That's a great thing about being in business and owning and running your own business, is you can have that kind of power and authority and freedom. And what else? Well, I'd like to suggest that it's recognition. Recognition. Think about it as you're driving down the road in your truck or your car, and maybe your buddy's sitting next to you, and you can kind of knock him in the ribs as you go by a building that you've built and you've participated in. You can say, I built that. Or maybe you're driving down a freeway and you know that the work that you did that no one ever sees contributed to the quality of that freeway. And you can say, I built that. And there's a real satisfaction with that, and there's a real recognition that comes with that as well. So if you think about those things, the money, the power, and the recognition, what do they all have in common? Well, I'd like to suggest what they have in common is it's all about you, okay? It's all about you, and rightfully so. If you own a construction company, or if you're in the senior position of a construction company, you've got to make it all about you in this sense. If you don't make money, if you don't have freedom, and if you don't get recognition for building great projects, then you don't really have a strong business. And starting with yourself and really making sure that you have that solid foundation is very, very important for building a good business. But there's more to it than that. So I'd like to discuss a higher perspective here. And really, it's all about you. Because as you go up that triangle or that pyramid, I'm going to come back to that in a minute, one of the deeper things that can happen as you establish a business and begin to bring people into your organization and develop relationships with people is that you become a role model. You become someone that other folks look to and model themselves after. Not only that, but you can build a great company. Think about your opportunity to build a company that has a huge impact upon the lives of the people that you that work for you, the people that you serve. It's an awesome opportunity to positively impact people. And then also you can create a legacy. That's one of the wonderful things about buildings. Think about this. You can drive down the road, let's say, for the next 50 years and point to a building and say, I built that. There is a real legacy that is able to be established as a result of running a good construction company. And what do all of these have in common? Well, it's pretty neat. They're all about others. They're all about others. And when you think about how you're going to win the war for construction talent, it's all about you and it's all about others. And this is what it looks like right here. You've got the money, the power, and the recognition, and then you've got being a role model, building a great company, and leaving a legacy. This is the complete pyramid that you want to focus on as far as developing your business. So the question is how is this going to happen? How is this going to happen? Well, you're going to have to be able to attract, develop, and then retain great talent. And you must do it strategically, intentionally, and consistently. And that's what I really want to make an emphasis on. Strategically, intentionally, and consistently. And all of the strategies and the tools that I'm going to give you today are going to help you to be strategic, intentional, and consistent in attracting, developing, and retaining great talent. So, as far as attracting talent, culture trumps money at the end of the day. And I'm going to get into that in a little more detail. As far as developing talent, you want to tap into the best of human nature. And it's often easier to develop what you have than to find what you don't have. And once you've got that talent, what you need to do is you need to retain it. And this is one of the most important things that we can learn as leaders. People don't quit companies. They quit leaders and managers. So let me ask you, are you a quittable leader or manager? Or are you the type of person who is able to retain talent over a long period of time? Okay? Are you the type of person who can retain talent over a long period of time? So, how is all this going to happen? How are you going to be able to attract, develop, and retain talent? Well, these are all very, very important, and none of them are necessarily very easy. Everything I'm sharing with you here today is not easy. There's no magic pills as far as this is concerned. You have to have a short-term and a long-term perspective. You need to balance the long-term and short-term needs. Think about it in the field right now. I know some of my clients, they're slammed with so much work that they're just looking around for warm bodies to get onto a job site in order to run some work. But you know the problem with warm bodies is sometimes, right? They just don't work out, and they begin to affect your profitability, and they begin to make your customers mad. And so the warm body strategy doesn't always work. And so as far as this talent development and winning this war is concerned, you've got to have a short-term and a long-term perspective. Okay? So let me share with you the foundation for recruiting, developing, and retaining talent. And for this, I'm going to use an analogy from baseball. Okay? And this is the question. How is a winning organization built? How does a baseball team build a winning organization? So if you don't like sports illustrations, please forgive me, but I really like them because I think they apply to business in so many ways, right? Because when you think about a sports team, the results are out there. There's winning and there's losing. There's no doubt about who's done what. And so it's a great analogy to move forward as far as business is concerned. And so I'm going to use my favorite baseball team, and that's the San Francisco Giants. I've been a Giants fan since 1985 when I moved to the United States. I can remember sitting in the basement, I'm from England originally, sitting in the basement of my best friend's house listening to Giants games on the radio. And I thought that they would never, ever win a World Series. And then all of a sudden, from 2010 to 2014, they won 3. Okay? And I think the reason they were able to do that is they tapped in to 3 sources of talent. They tapped into 3 sources of talent. And it's these 3 sources of talent that you can tap into to build your business. Now, of course, it's not the same source as far as, you're not going to get baseball players to run your construction company, but these 3 sources of talent are available to you as well. So let's go through what those 3 sources are. Number 1, free agents, okay? People who are already major leaguers, so to speak, who are out there and people that you can attract to your company. Number 2 is the farm system, right? In a Major League Baseball team, they have the Major League team, and then they have a bunch of other teams that they develop folks in to bring them up to the main team. Now, as far as your company is concerned, the farm includes anyone who's an employee in your company right now. The farm system is a place where you can develop and retain talent. And then you've got the future. For a professional baseball team, they look to the high school level and the college level to find people to bring them into their organizations. And the same is true in your company. This is a long-term strategy for developing your company, right? A 10 to 15 year horizon in some cases, really getting in with the universities in your area and with the high schools in your area so that you can tap into that talent, okay? So this is a 3-pronged strategy that every owner and every leader in a construction company needs to be conscious of and needs to be pursuing. These are your sources of talent, your free agent, your farm, the people who are currently working for you, and then the future, the folks coming out of high school and college who could participate in your company. So the question you've got to ask yourself is, where are you the strongest and where are you the weakest? Where are you the strongest and where are you the weakest? Perhaps you're strong at attracting free agents. Perhaps you're good at developing the farm. But perhaps you have no relationships at all with high schools or with colleges in your area. Okay, these are strategies that you need to think about as far as developing your company. Okay? So let's dive into each one of these in a little more detail. Free agents. Okay? We live in a free agent world, right? No one is under contract to work in your company or anybody else's company, basically speaking, particularly in construction. So the thing you've got to ask yourself is, what do free agents want? How can I make my company attractive to free agents? Okay, so let's think about that. What attracts free agents? I'd like to say this. This is what attracts free agents to your company. They want money, power, recognition. They want to be a role model. They want to build a great company, and they want to leave a legacy. The best free agents, they want exactly what you want. Money, power, recognition, contribution to people's lives, contribution to a company, and a legacy of great work done. So if you're going to attract free agents into your company, what you've got to get very clear on is your culture. Because what attracts free agents, it's not the money. It's not the money. All things being equal as far as the money is concerned, what attracts free agents is the culture of the company that they're joining. And the culture of the company is reflected very much in a clear purpose and in clear values. Culture is absolutely critical. And you know what the problem is? Is that many people who run construction companies are fuzzy on their purpose and their values. And because they're fuzzy on that, they lack the ability to really attract the best free agents. So let me ask you, if someone asked you what is the purpose of your business and the values that drive you, how would you respond? Would it be something very clear and simple? Or would it be a bunch of sort of blah, 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 and maybe some cliches? Okay, let's go into a little more detail here. This is very important because people are attracted to people who have clear purpose and clear values. Let's talk about Walmart. Okay, now this is the purpose that Walmart has stated for their business, to give ordinary folk the chance to buy the same things as rich people. That's their purpose. Okay, now what about Nike? To experience the emotion of competition, winning and crushing competitors. So that's a little bit different than Walmart, but nevertheless, it's very clear. Take a look at some of my clients and their examples of purpose. One of my clients says this is a family construction business. We exist for the enjoyment we get from problem solving with the people we love and accomplishing things. That's their purpose. Okay, another one of my clients, why do they exist? To create, disrupt, and transform wherever there's an opportunity. Another one of my clients, why do they exist? They simply exist to crush competitors. They're real competitive construction guys, and they love getting out there and winning. So are you crystal clear on your purpose? Because free agents want to join companies that are clear on their purpose and have a real drive and direction to them. Okay? Now let's talk about your values. There's a lot of talk about values, and really, you know, it's a bunch of blah, 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 right? Integrity and honesty and commitment and all that kind of stuff. Well, let me give you some examples of the values that my clients have. Here's one: do more than expected. That's a very interesting value, right? They have a value to do more than expected. Another one has a value to put in more reps, stay out in front, and have fire in the belly. They're hard workers. Another one of my clients, their core value is simply this: no hacks. And they know exactly what that means, right? So if someone is out in the field and they're doing a bad job, they point at that person and they say, that person's being a hack. You can't behave like that and be in this company. Or if someone's doing a sloppy estimate or dealing with a customer in a way that's unacceptable, they have permission to look at that person and say, that person's being a hack. You must stop that. Because purpose and values drive behavior, okay? And they go in line together. So you notice this. My client, we exist for the enjoyment we get from problem solving with the people we love and accomplishing things. That's their purpose. And their values, we do more than expected. We create, disrupt, and transform wherever there's an opportunity. And in order to do that, we put in more reps, we stay out in front, we got fire in the belly. And then another one of my clients, crush competitors. That's their purpose. And their values, no hacks. They're clear on their culture. And at the end of the day, culture is more important than money. People are looking for a place to belong and to contribute to. Culture is more important than money. So how clear are you on your culture, right? How clear are you as far as the purpose and the values of your business? It's very important as far as attracting free agents. So that's one thing that you can do as far as applying what you're learning today, is to sit down with your senior executive team and get crystal clear on what your purpose and values are. So that's how you attract free agents. Now, what about the farm? This is awesome. Let's talk about the farm. So with the farm, with the people who are already in your business, you need to be able to develop them and then retain them. So let me give you 3 simple strategies for developing and retaining your best people. And I'm thinking very much of perhaps your up-and-comers here, okay? So number 1, you got to get them a Yoda. Get them a Yoda. Get them someone who can mentor them, who's willing to give time and energy to training them and to helping them through the process of learning their position. Okay? If you have someone who's a junior project manager, pair them up with a senior project manager who can go out into the field with them and go through the difficult conversations that often you have to have. Okay? If you have a senior superintendent, make sure that he's riding along with the junior superintendents, working with them to do a more effective job motivating your folks in the field. And with that in mind, don't let the old dogs hold back the new talent, okay? Tenure does not exist in construction companies. In other words, just because you've been around for so long doesn't mean that you get a place of prominence. I was just talking to a president of a very well-known construction company in my area just recently, and they promoted someone into a senior position ahead of some other folks, and the other folks were amazed. But the great thing about it is he was not letting the old dogs hold back the new people. And another thing you need to do is you want to make sure that you're developing the skills of the people who are the up-and-comers. One of the ways to do that is by tours of duty, right? Give them a particular responsibility for, let's say, a year, see how well they do in that responsibility, and perhaps move them into another responsibility where they can learn another part of the business. This is one of the ways that you develop and then retain talent. And what you need to be able to do is you need to paint them a picture. Paint them a picture of the future and how they are going to be involved in the future of your organization. Because what do you think your best talent want? Okay, your best talent want the same thing that you do and the same thing that the free agents want. They want money, they want power, they want recognition, they want to be a role model, they want to participate in a great company, and they want to leave a legacy. So give them what they want. Typically speaking, people in their 20s, they want training. People in their 30s, they want advancement. People in their 40s, they want power. Well, if the people in their 40s want power, make sure that they've earned it by contributing to your organization. So let me give you some tools to help you with the developing of the farm. So here are 2 tools, and you can use these tools and they can have a profound impact upon your business. Here's the first one. It's a simple talent rank. Okay, across the top of this, you have performance from low to high, the performance of an individual from low to high. On the left-hand side, you have their potential from low to high. And then you have, within there, you have different boxes with different descriptors. So let's go through each one. You might have a loose cannon, right? Someone who has high potential but low performance. You need to work with them to shape them up. You need to ask, is this person a cultural fit? If they're not, you need to develop a replacement for that person. What about this person who's got star potential? Okay, right here, you got the star potential. You need to paint the big picture for them. Give them more responsibility. Stretch them in new opportunities. What about the star, right? The high potential, high performance person. Don't you love those folks? Number 1, you've got to ask, are they bored and are they happy? Are they bored and are they happy? Are they going to be poached? You've always got to make sure that you keep these people happy. Now, don't compromise your values or anything like that, but you've got to make sure. Don't assume that they're happy. Make sure that they're happy. Okay? What about down here in the problem child area here? You've got medium potential and low performance. The question you've got to ask is it worth it? Is it worth it? Well, is it worth it? Probably not. You may want to look to replace that person. What about the average performer here? Okay, someone who's got medium potential and medium performance, you might want to move them to another opportunity in your company and see how well they do. They might be bored where they're at. They may have just reached the level of that they're going to reach, and in order to go further, they need another opportunity. So think about that. You've got your solid citizen here who's got a medium potential but very high performance. Keep them happy. Accept them for who they are. Not everybody wants to be the shining star. Not everybody wants to be the leader. They just want to get down. They want to do their job and take care of business. So you need those solid citizens. And then here on the lower level here, you've got the poor performer. Okay, get rid of them. The slowpoke, well, put them where they can't hurt the company, right? They've got medium performance, but their potential's pretty low. Give them stuff to do that they can do well, and just don't let them hurt the company. And then you've got this interesting little individual here on the bottom right, the cash cow. Low potential, high performance. Just smile and let them do their thing. Okay, if they're performing well, but you know they're not going to go anywhere else, just smile and let them do their thing. So what you need to do to use and apply this tool right here is to do this. Take everyone in your company, and you can start with your senior leaders and the senior people out in the field, and just plot them on this graph right here, or plot them on this chart. Rank them and think about where they are. And an interesting exercise for you to do is to give this little sheet to every one of the senior leaders in your organization and ask them to rank their direct reports and see where there's some variance in opinions, because that can give you some perspective, right? Sometimes you have an opinion on someone and that opinion is not necessarily correct, but this can give you some perspective as far as where your people are with their potential and their performance. And it's a very, very important thing to think about, because you want to be investing your time and your energy with people that have high potential and can move into the high performance areas. Okay. Now, here's another tool that you can use, and I'll be sending you out the PDF at the end of the webinar so that you can actually use this tool yourself. Think about a competency analysis. The way the competency analysis works is you write down all of the functional competencies that someone needs for the position that they're in here on the top. And then you can see the leadership competencies. So these are sort of the technical aspects they need to be able to master, and these are more of the human aspects they need to master in their particular role. So you've got your functional competencies and your leadership competencies, and then what you do is you write all the names of the people that you want to rank down the left-hand side here, and then you simply go green light, yellow light, red light. Green light, they exceed the standards. Yellow light, they are at standard. And red light, they need development. So for instance, participant number 2, this is a red light person right here. They need help. And either you're going to train them up and see if they can get going, or you're going to let them go. Right here, participant number 6, you got a star performer right here, pretty much. Maybe you look at these areas and think, is it worth investing time in them, in those areas? Maybe it's not because of the particular position they're in, but regardless, you've got a good performer here. And so what you want to do is you want to take a look at each one of the areas in your business. So for instance, a project manager, they may have these functional competencies: setting up estimates, budgets, timetables, developing a construction strategy. This is an example of some of the functional competencies. Now, the leadership competencies, things like communication, problem solving, accountability, motivation, planning, and goal setting. Okay, so when you're ranking someone, what you want to be able to do is to write down the functional competencies and the leadership competencies for each position. List down all the people who are involved in those positions, and then give them the green light, the yellow light, and the red light. And I encourage you to do this. Do this in the next 90 days. Sit down with your leadership team, and in the next 90 days, walk through this process. Okay? All right. So this is how, these are 2 tools that you can use to develop and retain the key people in your organization. Let's go on to the last part of the 3-pronged strategy. We've got the free agents, we've got the farm, and now we've got the future. Now the future is a challenging one, okay? The future is a challenging one. And you've got to think about the future of your company today, tomorrow, and for an ongoing period. And this is one of the great needs that we have. Don't you, man, construction is so awesome. People can come out of high school, they can learn a trade, and they can get, start getting paid good money right out of the gate without a bunch of college debt. Or someone can go to college and they can get a construction degree of some kind, and they can actually get a real job coming out of college. We should be advocating for careers in construction because there's so much opportunity for people. And that's why it's important to be involved in groups like the ACE Mentor Program, okay? Or to be involved in bringing people in on a regular basis for internships. So what I would be doing if I were you is tapping into your local high schools and your local colleges and really thinking through a long-term strategy for bringing in fresh interns every summer, getting them out in the field or getting them in the office, and finding that talent. Okay, I know one guy in the area that I'm in, and he's actually teaches at the local college. He teaches courses on construction in the local college. That's a good strategy that you might think about as far as developing relationships with people who are involved in construction management programs. Okay, so those are the suggestions as far as strategies are concerned. And again, this is a long-term process. You may not find the talented high school guy or the talented college person in the next 90 days, but you might find them in the next year or two if you take time to develop those relationships. Okay, so the last thing I want to do is to give you that 7-step process to get started on as far as the whole idea of attracting, developing, and retaining the talent in your organization. Step number 1, you've got to get leadership clarity and buy-in. You've got to get clear on the purpose and the values of your business, and then get buy-in from the leadership to do the hard work necessary to develop your people. Because it's easy just to keep doing the things that you're doing, right? We're bidding work, we're building work, and we're getting paid for it. And we just go through this cycle. We're like hamsters on a wheel, and we never stop and think and work on our business. So get the leadership buy-in. Step number 2, write down the competency descriptions that we talked about, both from the technical and the social aspects as far as each position is concerned. Step 3, do a talent inventory. Okay, so go through and see where each one of your people are as far as their talents are concerned. Step 4, evaluate current performance, right? Where are they? Are you got a star performer, or you got someone that you need to show the door? Okay. Step 5, assess their future potential. Step 6, train to narrow the gap. Maybe they need technical training. Maybe they need training on communication or conflict resolution, or how to have difficult conversations, or how to motivate people, or how to plan and set goals. They need training in those areas. Step 7, evaluate the results. Don't just train and hope for the best, but accountability and follow-up is absolutely essential. And then from evaluating the results, you keep going through the cycle. Keep going through the cycle. Because what I'm sharing with you today is not a quick fix, but it's an ongoing, sort of eternal process, you could say. That's what this infinity symbol is all about. You've always got to be thinking about attracting, developing, and retaining talent in your organization. Okay, so now it's time to get to work. Okay, what are you going to do as a result of what you've learned here today? Let's just review. There's 3 sources of talent, and you need to develop a strategy for each one. You've got your free agents, you've got your farm, and you've got your future. Okay, what can you do in the next 30 days to move forward and develop a strategy for each one of these areas? Which are you strongest in? Which are you weakest in? Where's the potential for the biggest impact? Okay, because again, the way you're going to win this war is by attracting, developing, and then retaining talent. Keep in mind, what are people looking for? They're looking for the same thing that you want, right? It may be expressed in different ways, but everyone wants money, power, and recognition. They want to be a role model. They want to make a contribution. They want to be involved in a great company, and they want to have a long-term impact. Right? It's like the old Gladiator movie, right? What we do today will echo through eternity. That's what people want. So remember, culture is more important than money. All things being equal, culture will trump money. So get crystal clear on your purpose and your values. Get crystal clear on how you're going to develop your farm, how you're going to develop and retain that talent. Go through the talent ranking process that I described to you. Go through the competency analysis, and then take time to think through how you can use each one of these 7 steps in order to develop and then retain talent. Okay, so now it's time to get to work. Patton says this. George Patton, he was a muddy boots general in World War II. He didn't just sit in the office and let people go out and die, but he got in the tank and he went out and got dirty himself. Okay, a good plan violently executed today is far better than a perfect plan tomorrow. I tell you, man, in business, action is key. Act and then evaluate the results of your actions. Okay, so a good plan violently executed today is far better than a perfect plan tomorrow. We're not looking for perfection here. We are looking for thoughtful action though. So what's the one thing? What's the one strategy that you can implement in the next 90 days? Maybe it's getting clear on your purpose and values. Maybe it's doing some real outreach to the free agents that you want to bring into your company. Maybe you've got to rank the talent. Maybe you analyze their competencies. Perhaps you sit down with your key leadership and get started on doing the 7 steps. Okay? Don't forget the winning mindset. Drop the mask. Okay, we're about to end the webinar here. Let me encourage you, drop the mask. If there's an issue that you're facing that you need to address with your senior leaders in your team, do that. Okay? Ditch the dude. Okay? Ditch the attitude that things are just going to continue the way they are and they can never change. It's not the case. If you do some hard work and you just make incremental change in your business, it can have a massive impact upon your profitability. And then remember the 3rd thing, kill the bear. What one person can do, another person can do. People have developed wonderful companies over years and years by hard work and application, and you can do the same thing as well. So get busy and kill the bear. Now, At the beginning of the webinar, I was telling you that I was going to let you know how you can get more help if you'd like to. And so it's very simple. I'd love to chat with you about how I can be of some assistance. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to chat out a link to a 10-minute call that you can have with me. So I'm just going to do this real quick. Let me grab my link. Here we go. If you're interested in having a 10-minute call, I'm going to put it right here. And you can go out there and grab a 10-minute conversation with me. Just 10 minutes. In that 10-minute call, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about where you are right now, where you want to be, and what's stopping you from getting from where you are to where you want to be. Okay? That's what I do with my clients all the time. We figure out where they are, where they want to be, and we go to work on the roadblocks that stop them from getting there. Okay? And that's what I'd encourage you to do. Take 10 minutes. Book in with me a chat. We can talk about developing and retaining talent. We can talk about the issues that you face as far as getting clear on your purpose and your values. And we can talk about how you can move forward to develop the business of your dreams. So I'm going to open it up for questions here. And I'm also going to chat in let me do this. I'll chat in the PDF for those of you guys who stuck around. I really appreciate it. If you go to this Google Drive address right here, you can download the PDF of all the slides with all the tools, and you'll be able to take those and customize them for your particular audience and your company. So let me just send that out. Let's see if we got that. There we go. All right, so let me open it up to any questions that you guys have. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask at the moment, or anything they'd like to comment on? Let's see here. Okay. Just getting to the dashboard here. Let me see if I can see anything here. Okay, let me see. Oh, I got some right here. Okay, great. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to join me here on this webinar. Again, my name is Eric Anderton. I'm happy to help you in any way that I can. And if there's no other questions at the moment, I'm going to end the webinar right now. So thanks very much for attending.